Lehman Brothers suffering a spectacular downfall. Its stock at one point this year sold for $67 a share. Right now it's trading at just $3.65 a share. CNN's Alan Chernoff joins us now with a closer look at what it means for your money. He's live outside of Lehman Brothers headquarters in New York. And Alan, that's where we saw those pictures all morning long of people yesterday literally packing up their life's work and carrying it out in a box.
Karen, this is absolutely stunning. Wall Street has seen very, very few days like this. The mortgage crisis has now taken down two of the biggest names, the most storied names on Wall Street. One of them, Lehman Brothers, right behind me, the parent company of Lehman Brothers, filing for bankruptcy as the subsidiaries basically wind down or Lehman tries to sell them off. In addition, huge news beyond Lehman Brothers, which is not the biggest shock this morning, by the way. Merrill Lynch selling itself to Bank of America.
Alan Chernoff for us down there out front of Lehman Brothers this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, welcome to our video on the Lehman Brothers accounting scandal. In 2008, the collapse of Lehman Brothers sent shockwaves through the financial world and triggered the global financial crisis. Today, we'll take a look to know how the bank's management used accounting tricks to hide billions of dollars of debt and deceive investors, ultimately leading to the bank's downfall. In the very first, we are going to give you a brief of the scandal, and it is going to be presented by the team Red. Let's begin the collapse of Lehman Brothers, which was reputed for innovation and risk-taking, and by the early 20s it had grown into a financial powerhouse. Now, what type of company it was? It was a global financial services firm and one of the largest investment banks in the world, fourth in the US. Time to know who are the main culprits. The main culprits was Richard Ford, the CEO of the company, and his management team, with the company's auditor. And let's know what they have done. What they have done actually happened is that they hid over $50 billion in loans disguised as sales, which means they were actually loans but they said they were sales. How they did it? They used the REFO 105 and REFO 108 scheme, which is they sold toxic assets to the Cayman Island banks under repurchase agreement, which was that we repurchase them again in a future date. But however, instead of recording them as loans, they were marked as sales, which was not actually sales. It created an impression that Lehman Brothers had 50 billion more in cash and 50 billion more in toxic assets, which was completely the opposite. So how they finally got caught? They actually filed for bankruptcy in 2008. Having more than $639 billion in assets and $619 billion in debt. Now let's talk about the consequences, what actually they got at the end. It is known, and they forced into the largest bankruptcy in the US history, which shakes the world economy. But the Securities and Exchange Commission did not able to prosecute anyone, the CEO or his management, due to lack of evidence. Now one more thing, it was a fun fact actually. Just a year before the scandal, Lehman Brothers was ranked #1 most admired securities firm by the Fortune magazine 2007. Let's take a deep dive into the Lehman Brothers accounting scandal. We are going to see the rise and ultimately the fall of Lehman Brothers. So without making any delay, let's get started. Lehman Brothers was founded by three brothers in the year of 1850. In the US state of Alabama, they operated a dry goods store, which at that point of time was a flourishing business. In 1850s, cotton was one of the most important crops in the United States. Seeing the importance and high market value of cotton, the Lehman Brothers began to accept raw cotton from their customers as a form of payment for their merchandise. And just within a few years, This became a major part of their business. During the late 1850s, the cotton trading hub had shifted to New York City, where the factories of the commission houses were based. Lehman also started its new branch in New York. They were still largely involved in their cotton business. Lehman Brothers played an important role in the formation of New York Cotton Exchange in 1870. The headquarters of Lehman Brothers was also shifted to New York. Lehman also was the member of Coffee Exchange in the year 1883. And finally the New York Stock Exchange in 1887. In the year 1889, Lehman Brothers underwrote its first public offering of the International Steel Pump Company. In the year 1906, Lehman Brothers partnered with Goldman Sachs to bring many more public offerings to the market. This was at a time when Lehman Brothers started entering into the financial markets. For the next 2 decades, they did more than 100 public offerings, and many of them were in partnership with Goldman Sachs. During the period of Great Depression, that is during the period of late 1920s to early 1930s, when the equity markets were not doing well, Lehman Brothers focused on venture capital, which helped the company to survive through the Great Depression phase. The underwriting business and issue of public offers continued afterwards. During the next 4 decades, the company underwrote many other public offerings and became one of the largest and well-known and in the financial sector. In the year 1984, Lehman Brothers was acquired by American Express for a brief period of time, about a decade. American Express spun off Lehman Brothers in the year 1994 in an initial public offering, and the company's name was changed to Lehman Brothers Holdings, Inc. After 3 years, in the year 1997, Lehman bought Aurora Loan Services, which was an old vendor. This was the first step towards the downfall of Lehman Brothers. In the year 2000, Lehman acquired subprime mortgage lender PNC Mortgage LLC. After the Lehman quickly started lending to many subprime borrowers. Now, what exactly is subprime? Subprime are those category of borrowers who do not have a great record when it comes to repaying their loans for repaying their credit card bills. Now, one may ask why the company was lending to these subprime borrowers. The reason was the major part of the loan were given to purchase of new houses, and it was believed at that time that a price of house would never fall. Loans were given at a teaser rate of subprime borrowers. The loan purchase house was very available in the market, and everyone started to purchase the house on loan, and their main target was to sell off their home at a higher price in the future. But during the early 20s, the prices of home in real estate started to crash. The home buyers saw that the price of the real estate is declining day by day. Ultimately, there was a situation when the price of real estate was very less compared to the amount of loan and debt supposed to repay the banks, so they started defaulting their payments as they could not pay their high interest rates. The bank would sell their houses to recover a part of loan, but banks were never able to recover 100% of the loan. In the year 2003, Lehman Brothers gave a loan of $18.2 billion. With 2004, this number jumped to $40 billion, and by the year 2006, they were lending almost $50 billion per month. By the year 2008, Lehman's risk real estate holdings were more than 30 times of the firm capital. Such a highly leveraged structure is dangerous for any financial institution. When the number of loan defaults saw a rapid increase, Lehman Brothers had no option but to file for bankruptcy. The 158-year-old company came to an end in September of 2008. In the end, the company that was considered too big to fail ultimately failed. So, it is needless to say, this scandal is just a reminder of the importance of transparency and regulations in the financial industry. It highlights the dangers of allowing companies to hide their true financial position and the devastating impact it can have on investors and the company as a whole. Today's video has been an overview of the scandal, but the complexity of the case is worth your further study. As you have seen, 26,000 employees of Lehman Brothers lost jobs, and 10,000 people committed suicide across Europe. Thank you for your time.